It is a wonderful Tuesday morning, and of course Tuesdays are for the bookworms. We sit down and we talk about all things books, of course introducing you to new local authors so you know what options you have, homebred and home relatable. Now this morning, of course, we do have resident bookworm Audrey with us this morning. Good morning, Audrey.
Morning, Candice. How are you?
I'm good. Audrey, I've always been curious, do you have a library at home of books?
Yes, I've got a bookshelf in my bedroom.
Wow, I need a picture because inspiration stuff,
Okay,
just kind of.
I'll hook you up.
Because you always bring us the most interesting selections, and I really love it. Thank you so much for doing that for us.
You're welcome.
Now, this morning, of course, we are talking Harare Voices and Beyond by Andrew Chatora. Now, this book is a secret. It's got secrets in it. It's got secrets.
Yeah, it's a very deep book. Let's just put it out there. Very deep and diverse, and all these nuances in there.
Yeah. Let's start off with just the headline. I mean, I'm so used to reading headlines. I'm talking about let's start off with the title, Harare Voices and Beyond. Set that scene for us. Why are we talking about the voices of Harare and Beyond? How does that come into play?
Okay, so the author has got a lot of voices in the book. So you'll get Munyaradzi reciting a story, Onai writing about her story. There's Reese, there's Mark, there's Marina. So it's so many voices. And then some of them are centered in Harare, but some of them are also centered in England.
So he's giving us kind of a perspective from different people who are spread out across but are still Zimbabweans.
Definitely.
Okay, all right. Now tell us a little bit about the author.
Okay, the author, Andrew, has been in the UK. He's an English teacher. He's been there for about 20 years. And this is his third book. So, I mean, in his writings, you can just tell that he will share about his life in the UK, some of the challenges that they face down there. But also now coming back to Zimbabwe, he's writing about the things that we go through on a day-to-day basis.
Now let's get into the actual book itself and why people are picking this book up. It talks about a lot of things that we know are going on, but we don't openly talk about as much as we should be. I mean, you talked about different nuances and whatnot. Just tell us a little bit about the storyline in this one.
Okay, so you find Marina, she's based in the UK. She grows up at an orphanage. So we all know that an orphanage is a safe haven, right?
Supposedly.
Supposedly, but in this case, it's not. It's a Catholic orphanage, but a lot of stuff is actually going on. Even drugs are being abused at the school. And then you've got the flip side in Harare. You see the effects of, because we're so quick to judge. When you see someone, even a street kid on the street, taking drugs, they're in the drunken stupor, you're so quick to condemn and judge. But in this book, he's taking us back to what happened before this person became a drug addict.
Right.
What happened before this person became a drug peddler.
Right.
So you see all those nuances, like you're saying, and then there's always someone at the top who's also helping to push those drugs.
Now, I like that you mentioned him going back and kind of looking at the situation that pushes some of these decisions that happen, because you're so right. We often are very quick to judge and we have our own conclusions and this person is no good and this and that. And unfortunately, the drug situation is something that's currently very rampant in Zimbabwe. But that link between it happening locally and it also happening abroad kind of brings that reality home. Tajera movies, you think it only happens here, but it's also coming. It's also something that we have a problem with here. What are some of the scenarios? Maybe if you could set up maybe just one incident that he walks us through, someone's past that leads them into drug use, for example. Okay,
so for example, I also like the fact that he brought multi-races in this book. You've got your mixed races, that's colored. You've got your white family, like you find the protagonist is actually a white family based in the lushy suburbs of Borodobrook. So you've got those people also mixing with people from Bari, from DZ, from all those places. And then there's also a scene. The book actually starts with a scene with them in prison. So you also get a feel of what happens in prison and all these nuances, actually, I don't want to give much
Yeah.
away.
I can see you like, no, like,
I don't want to give much away, but also I think the last chapter, for me, that was actually very hard because you find that Marina grew up a difficult life, like I said, in an orphanage. And her mother was a Zimbabwean immigrant from Zimbabwe who went to the UK looking for a better future. But she ended up being into, you know, prostitution, into drug abuse. And then she had to give up her daughter. But now the daughter had a father who was very rich all this while, but then he wasn't looking after her. But in the last chapter, we then get to find out who the actual father is. And it's something that no one will see coming.
Right, so it does keep us in quite a bit of suspense there. Tell me something. You talk about Marina's mom being someone who went to look for greener pastures, and of course, life didn't go as planned. We currently have an exodus of people who are moving and looking for greener pastures wherever they go. I don't want to say what advice, but what kind of frame of mind would this give them as they go out to explore their the potential opportunities in terms of just how life works?
Okay, all I can say is, you know, I know the grass always looks greener on the other side, but there are also other factors why that grass could be greener. They could have a high water bill, they could have a high gardener's bill, fertilizers and all sorts. So
It could be artificial?
It could be artificial. It definitely could be an artificial lawn. So you just need to be careful. You need to weigh your options before you make such moves. And just know that sometimes, you know what, God will actually place you in a situation for your good. Yes.
What kind of reader is going to enjoy this book?
Everyone. This book, everyone is going to read it, from your people in the ghetto, from your people in the lushy suburbs, even people abroad. And I was just looking at the ratings that this book has been getting. It's an amazing book, and I think it needs to be put into film. Because I know, like we're talking, people really watch film these days.
Yeah.
So this book would do very well into film so that people can learn and see what goes on around behind the scenes.
I know we've talked about, we've kind of looked at the aspect of, you know, of immigration. We've looked at the aspect of, you know, drug use and abuse. We've looked at, you know, the life and its setups. But what else can we pick up from this?
What we can also pick up is, that the family institution. I mean, yeah, we talk about it, but I think we should talk about it more. You know how they say a lot of these children, they have absentee fathers.
Yeah.
So you find that even these days, people are hustling and bustling. No one is looking out for the child, you know, that child, whether a boy or a girl. They need guidance. They need parents to be present. Even caregivers, they need to be present. Because if they're not present, then these children will get mixed up into such things.
Right, you're so right. You're so accurate about that. We tend to just get caught up in our day-to-day and trying to make ends meet. We forget that we do have that responsibility of raising our children, watching our children, making sure that they are growing up as we grew up, so to speak. You know, on the fundamentals that we hold most nearest and dearest. Now, Audrey, where are we finding this book?
Okay, locally it's with Book Fantastics, that mobile bookshop, and then online it's on Amazon, and then Barnes & Noble in the UK and other established bookshops.
All right. Audrey, I need to give you homework. Our mobile bookshop, do you think you can get them to come and visit us one
Definitely.
Tuesday? Please?
Definitely, yeah.
Please? I think they have a very interesting story to tell.
They have.
So that's your homework for me. Please, please, please bring them to us so that we can also sit down with them and just kind of understand their mission and everything that they're doing, and of course appreciate them for the work that they're doing and making sure we have our books readily available for us. But thank you so much, Audrey. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you, Candice.